I have used compact fluorescent bulbs, metal halides, T5s, LEDs, and combination of these. Everyone says corals need strong lighting. This is like saying humans need a good balanced diet with high fibers and proteins. Saying corals need strong light is misleading. If you're new to the hobby, your first instincts will be to put the most lights you can afford because of these types of comments. This is a big mistake because corals do not need as much light as we are told. I have found that corals care more about the spread of light, the duration, the spectrum, and how they are acclimated to the light. LEDs are similar to spotlights, and most of these spread is very directional, so I feel it's better to raise them 15 to 20 inches above the water surface, otherwise you'll get hot spots. If you can afford to have 6 to 10 fixtures or the newer fixtures that have a wider coverage, problem should be resolved since you can lower the intensity because you have so many fixtures. However, most people don't have 5 to 10K to burn on lights. I remember a popular hobbyist was running his tank at 100% intensity and 100% all channels on and had an amazing reef tank. So I tried to copy him and it clearly did not work. I had to go back and lower the lights. Everyone's tank is different. You've probably heard that before, but it's so true. And without any context, it's very misleading when you hear some people are getting tremendous growth at 600 par. And if their corals are looking great, it's really hard not to try to copy them. But I could bet my money that the same corals that are growing in these guys' tanks probably started off as tiny frags growing in 250 to 400 par range before taking off. They may have also arrived in very good condition and better equipped to handle higher intensity light right from the start. The majority of these frags we are getting would do better in lower light intensities since they have symbiotic algae called zooxanthellae living in their cells that need to develop resistance to the lighting, which can take 1 to 2 months. Also, you have to factor in how you are receiving these corals. If you're getting them from frag swab, generally they're probably being transported a few days before, so they're already stressed out. So putting them under a really high intensity light right away is surely a good way to kill them. Imagine what would happen to one's skin sitting on a tanning bed for 8 hours. Your skin would burn. Corals in the wild don't get that same level intensity of lights throughout the day. You're pretty much just asking them to be baking in the sun for 12 hours per day, the light intensity just being on them. Doesn't sound right, and it isn't. So I say try to keep the lighting intensity and spectrum changing throughout the day. If you're running LEDs, it's easier to mimic nature, but it's really easy just to overdo it because it's really hard for the human eye to tell if it's too much light or too little. With LED lights, it always seems like you're not giving enough light, but in reality, the hot spots in the middle are probably really high intensity light, even if the par levels don't show it. If you're running just T5s or other bulbs, you can alternate how long you are running them. Corals get a break. Corals also should be acclimated to lighting correctly. In the past, I made this mistake and probably stressed a lot of corals. Earlier on, I wanted to see my coral in its final place immediately. I was just too impatient. But you can't save money on dead corals, so now I much rather enjoy them 1 month from now than have them dead. Make sure the corals are starting lower in the tank and keep them there for 1 week before raising them. If their colors and polyp extensions are good on the floor, then bring them up. Sometimes they may brown. That is fine. They will come back. If you have them too high, they could bleach on you. Then you will have to do the opposite and bring them back down, something I've done plenty of times. I can tell you it's not fun. By this time, the coral is closer to death and its immune system is compromised, so it could take up to 3 to 6 months for it to come back. I currently run my 4 T5s for 9 hours per day and my Ecotech Radions on SPS AB Plus for 12 hours per day, but they're only on for 6 hours at max intensity at 63%. Which is kind of low, but I found anything higher than that would just be too much at this point.
But it depends on what you're keeping and your budget. If you're planning on fish-only saltwater systems, I suggest getting the lowest par and wattage possible. Less light is less par, which means less fuel for algae and easier on your wallet. And today with Amazon, you could buy so many decent LED lights for cheap. Just make sure the reviews are good, and you don't want to sacrifice burning your house down and save a few $100. Most lights in the hobby now are LEDs and controllable, allowing you to fine-tune the spectrum and light intensity to your liking. If you're planning to keep corals, you'll need a game plan for the type of corals you want. One thing I've learned in this hobby is that you rarely save money by buying cheaper products. However, you can make smart decisions by leaving yourself room to upgrade them. When I converted my saltwater fish only system to a Reef, I wanted the best lights out there, but couldn't afford it during high school or college. I purchased cheaper products and made adjustments to improve it. For example, I purchased metal halide Odyssey fixtures, upgraded the ballast to ice cap ballast, and added in name brand bulbs like Blue Plus. and it grew SPS corals really well. If you're unsure or don't want to upgrade later, a good option is the Aqua Illumination Blade Hybrid Fixture, Aquatic Life Hybrid Fixture, or even one of those Reef Bright strips. These are hybrid fixtures so that you can start with the Reef Brights or T5s and leave yourself room in the future to add some expensive LED light fixtures. Whatever you choose, just make sure it will complement whatever you add later and last at least 5+ years. For example, with my 400-gallon setup, I have 3 Generation 5 Radion Pros and 4 60-inch T5 ATI Blue Plus bulbs. If I had a smaller budget, I would have added another 4 rows of T5, and that would have cost me about $600. I like my Ecotech Radiants for their controllability of the spectrum, and overall performance is good. They give my tank a dawn to dusk effect with 3 hours of sunrise and 3 hours of sunset, which is hard to achieve with only T5s. Sure, I could add 5 more Radions to eliminate the need for T5s, but that's a big investment and comes with a hassle of wire management and large power supplies to hide. In the past, when I was using Radion Gen 4 lights, I encountered an issue with Reef Link, a router that controlled the lights and that malfunctioned one night, causing the lights to stay on all night. After that, I just trusted them a lot less and even went as far as putting a manual timer on the lights to ensure the power was cut for 10 hours every night. Sometimes too much technology can backfire, which is why I come to appreciate the simplicity of simple light that just turn on and off without needing constant rebooting. Every light fixture has its pros and cons. T5s provide a blanket of light that reaches every nook and cranny. I'm old school and I prefer a mix of T5s with either metal halides or LEDs. And for 30+ years, reefers in the hobby have found the most success mixing 2 different light sources, so I still will recommend a combination is best. Not only for its performance, but the simple fact that 100% of the corals I purchase are aquacultured and have grown in either LED, halides, or T5. So I feel having multiple light sources makes it easier for the corals to adjust to my system. Many new hobbyists will be sticker shocked when seeing the cost of these LED lights. Ecotech Radiants are currently $1,000, which is crazy. If I didn't use T5s, I would have definitely needed at least 8 of these for a grand total of $8,000. But just do your homework and get something that fits your budget and need.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, I made a video about my 10 essential flow tips. The link is right here. Until next time, peace out.